challenging norms in their own way.
Really needed to find a way to express myself. I was always drawn by doing performing arts, and I was taking some acting classes.
A fresh take on content creation.
So we started a lot with comedy, with sketches, and we really started with sketches that were literally the jokes that we would make with our friends.
NewsX influencer A-list proudly recognizes Giulia Raffaello for culture-based content creation. Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX Influencer A-list. I'm Marcy Krishnan. With me, I have Giulia Raffaello, who's a very interesting content creator. Now, she talks about Indian culture and she portrays it on her page. Now, let's hear from Giulia Raffaello herself. Giulia, tell us a little bit about yourself and the kind of content you create.
Yes. First of all, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to speak to you, Aarti. I started this journey of content creation roughly 3 years ago, and it was because, I was doing my full-time job in HR, but I really needed to find a way to express myself. I was always drawn by doing performing arts, and I was taking some acting classes. So I was trying to find a creative outlet for myself. And my now husband, Shrey, was actually the one telling me you should start being in front of the camera because of your personality, because of your energy. And that's how we started. And since the beginning, we decided that there was a specific topic we wanted to talk about, and that was our intercultural relationship. So I'm from Italy originally. We both live in Germany, in Berlin. That's where we met. Shrey is from India. So there have been a lot of different, let's say, hiccups or things that we could have taken for granted in a relationship from two people from the same cultures, but we didn't in our own. So we decided to share it with the world in a really funny way. So we started a lot with comedy, with sketches, and we really started with sketches that were literally the jokes that we would make with our friends, because both Shrey and I are really funny. We make a lot of jokes with friends. So we basically translated that into our first sketch, and then we started from there creating content. And it started picking up quite soon, and it became viral, even the first video, quite soon. And I think that was because already back then, and still now is growing, there is a lot of need, and there is a lot of attention around how do you balance two cultures together, people that come from two different continents, even in our case. And there have been a lot of people that have reached out to us since the beginning, telling us we are also an intercultural couple, and we are inspired by you, by the way you really respect each other's cultures. And from there we started, and then eventually we brought the topic more in a less on a comedy way, I would say. We still have done some sketches until some months ago. And we basically decided to bring our audience along with our story, with our travel, meeting our family, and trying each other's food. Yeah, and that's where we are right now.
That's beautiful, Julia. Now, something interesting that you brought up was a lot of people reaching out to you, saying that they're also intercultural couple, and they want to talk about it, or they're inspired by you. So do you think that the conversation of representation also arises at this point where you don't see a lot of intercultural couples that on in movies, whether be it Hollywood or elsewhere, in local movies or series on Netflix or any other platform, for instance, you don't see a lot of intercultural relationships being portrayed. Now, do you think there's an issue of representation that is the question here?
Yeah, I don't know if it's an issue, but definitely there is a need. There is definitely a need because, even for myself, when I started meeting Shrey and I started dating with him, I was trying to think about people that I know, even among my friends in my family circle that were in an intercultural relationship. And already back then, I didn't have any. I'm actually the first one in my family, in my friends circle. And then from there, I started looking at, yes, as you said, Bollywood couples or couples that are more well-known, and they were missing, they were not there. So it's, of course, really difficult for a couple that is an intercultural relationship to find role models or to find people they can be inspired or look up to, they can ask questions, because you can't operate an intercultural relationship the same way you would operate a normal a relationship of the same culture. So there are things, as I said, that maybe not in the same culture a relationship you would take for granted, where in an intercultural relationship you really have to talk about literally everything, because you don't know what the other person has gone through, how the person has grown up, what were the values, what are the things that maybe they might offend them, and you don't know, right? Because there is a lot to be uncovered at the beginning and still in the process right now. So definitely there is a need to see successful and happy intercultural marriages and relationships. There are more right now, I have to say. When we started, there were just a few on YouTube, and now there are lots of them. I'm actually quite happy to say that a lot of them also started because they got inspired by us, and they also wrote us, and they keep on contacting us, and we're really happy about it, because I think there is definitely the need to talk about it and to uncover some of the stereotypes, or to uncover some of the issues that might come along. And I think a lot of the people that contact us, they go through the first phase of, how do I tell my family? How do I get my family to accept this relationship on both sides, not just on the Indian side, but also on the European side, right? So I try my best to reply to as many of them. We do a lot of Q&A about that. I also have brought my family, or we have brought Shay's family, to be able, to show that it's possible. And we're really happy to see how many people get inspired by this, and they thank us because, they feel better. They are uplifted that there is, there are some couples out there. So.
Absolutely. And I think it's a beautiful point you brought about the fact that when a couple come together and they are rising from two different cultures, even if it is within the same continent or within the same culture, there are a lot of subcultures within India itself, and as I'm sure is there in Europe as well, right? But when you talk about, like you said, you take the smaller things for granted, and you see a lot of these, like you said, influencers or content creators who come from different cultural backgrounds. When they're together, they're making content that is humorous, which then shifts the entire conversation of cultural difference, and then normalizes it, right? And then makes it easier to talk about, because you're then bringing humor into it rather than creating a taboo around it. Where then you don't know how exactly to approach a conversation because it might offend a large amount of people. So how have you sort of navigated that part of your content creation and then woven humor into it?
I think there is a lot that comes with, as a content creator, with your personality. So with my personality, I'm quite a lighthearted person. I'm really bubbly. I always like to smile and to laugh at things. So I don't take myself too seriously. And I do take life seriously, of course, when needed. But I do like to bring a bubbly and light vibe in the content that we create with Shrey. So that has been always the common pattern that we wanted to have in every piece of content that we create. So we always looked for the lighter version of a story that we wanted to tell, or of a little problem that we were facing. When people ask me, like, what is the biggest cultural clash that you had with Shrey? I didn't have a cultural clash with Shrey. But if there is one thing that we always discuss about, is the food, is how to season the food, because in Europe and in Italy, we really use like probably three things. That's like olive oil, salt, and pepper. And of course, it's like then Shrey, with his background, and I love spices myself too, but can't have red chili. So we have done a lot of content around that, right? Around him making fun of my way of cooking because it's completely bland and without any taste, or about me crying and feeling that I'm like dying because I'm having a lot of spicy food, and a lot of people have connected with that. And that's exactly how we try to navigate it. We try not to, go too on a heavy side, still keep some deep conversations, right? There is still the topic of accepting each other in this comedy sketches, but we try to make it fun. We try to make it light. We try to not take each other seriously, so we laugh at each other. And then we have a lot of interactions from people whenever we bring out that content. There was recent video that I made, there was a really difficult thing for me to learn, was to learn all the different names for the relatives, nana, nani, dada, dadi, mosa, mosi, all of this. It was really difficult because in Europe, in Italian, there is only one word for uncle and one word for auntie, and that's about it, right? And I decided to make it a really funny sketch in saying how much it takes me to actually learn and how much I still get it wrong. When I meet the standard family, actually met it recently, I was still asking Shay, so this is Mosi, right? Yes, okay. So I try always to make fun of these things in a light way, and then people always catch it. Probably because they also know us, so they know that we always come with the best intention, and they also know that I really want to learn and that I deeply love India. So I always felt connected to the culture even before meeting Shay. So I think this is like a good mix for navigating this world and the topic of intercultural relationships. Yes.
Julia, of course, no matter how big an effort you make online, right, to bring humor into it, to display your love between both of you as individuals, keeping apart what cultures you come from, there is always an aspect that is dark, that is looming in the digital world, especially social media. So when you post your content on social media, I'm sure you would have come across at least a few comments of either racism or the other way around, saying that the content you are posting related to Indian culture is then cultural appropriation. So how do you deal with that, and what would you say to similar content creators, or not only content creators, intercultural couples who face this sort of dilemma from society? So whether if and to ensure that they don't internalize it then, because it's coming from all around them.
Yeah, I have to be extremely honest. The 99% of the people that interact with our content are extremely positive and extremely happy with our content, and they really like connect with us. So again, I feel really lucky and I'm really grateful for that. But nevertheless, there is 1%, of course, where I haven't received a lot of comments around cultural appropriation. I think, in a way, people see how much I deeply love India, how much I love, for example, all the cultural aspects of it, from wearing all the outfits, from doing all the rituals with mom. So it has happened probably only once, right? And I did ask myself a lot of questions, of course, because it's a topic around there. The lucky thing about being in an intercultural relationship is that in that case, you have your partner that is from that culture and that can really rationalize with you whether something can become offensive, whether something is not something to touch in your content, or whether it is cultural appropriation or not. I also have a family there, I have friends. So it is good to double check with people when you're not 100% sure. But how to get out of this fear and worry, I would say, if you are authentic in front of the camera, if you are your true self, whichever piece of content you're gonna put, people will connect with you. And even if they're gonna sometimes disagree with your content, because it has happened that people have disagreed with my content, but they have written a really nice message, they were really polite, they gave me critical feedback in a really constructive way, and I was really thankful and I welcomed that feedback. And the next time I didn't maybe touch that topic, or I did it differently. So it's all about how you are in front of the camera, not pretending to be someone else, sharing also your difficult times, of course, sharing your happy times. A lot of times I receive people telling me, Julia, you're always happy, you're always bubbly. It's a choice that I make to share when I'm in a good mood, which is most of the times. But I do not share literally everything. And I do also choose what to share when things are not all happy and unicorns and rainbows. So I think the core advice that I will give here is to really be authentic, because the community, whether that's on Instagram or any platform, really can catch your personality. What if you deeply love something, whether that is like even like a product sponsorship or not, people understand what you're doing. Like, don't, I would say, don't treat your community as people that can get easily tricked because they can't. They're humans. They understand whether you're really convinced or not about something. So yeah, once you are authentic and you have good intentions deep inside, eventually people will get it. And even if you've done a mistake, they will write your message in a polite way. And that is what happened to me. Nevertheless, I am aware that other people went through different things. So I always
Right.
hope and I'm always grateful to have positive support from my community. But yeah,
Right.
that's what I.
On that hopeful note, Julia, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your journey, sharing your story with us. And more power to you and all the best.
Thank you so much, Aarti. Thank you.
Known for their channel Namaste Juli.
So whatever happens in your daily life and what we choose to
We record it.
We record it and then we put a blog about it.
A window into their day-to-day life.
I never seen an intercultural couple there. Also, in the internet, it's very rare.
NewsX influencer A-list proudly recognizes Juli Sharma and Arjun Sharma for culture-based content creation.
Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX Influencer A-list, and with us today is another intercultural couple, and they're going to share their journey with us. They're going to share with us how they come up on social media and what they do for content creation. Firstly, welcome Arjun and Juli. Thank you for joining us on the show. Let's start off with telling us about what exactly is the type of content you create.
So actually, basically we are daily bloggers. So whatever happens in your daily life and what we choose to
We record it.
We record it and then we put a blog about it. And it's like a story from A point to B or B point, like how our day is starting and how our day is like ending.
Highlights of our life, basically.
Right, that's
So we
that's
try
a very nice take on intercultural relationships. So we're having on this episode a couple of intercultural content creators who talk about their relationship online, and they do it in such a jovial way, which then removes the taboo out of the whole conversation, because there is some sort of taboo that exists. Before we go to that, do you think there is a lack of representation of intercultural couples, whether it comes to big screens or streaming platforms or even online?
Well, definitely. I mean, I watch a lot of Bollywood movies, and I never seen an intercultural couple there. Also, in the internet, it's very rare. I mean, by time, it's getting more and more, but in general.
And also in Bollywood movies, they show it in a different way. Like whenever there whenever there is someone in the someone is in love with अंग्रेज and वो ना फिर वो आउट ऑफ द वे चला जाता है, फिर इंडियन लड़की आ जाती है, फिर वो वापस वो ना फॉरेनर जो लड़की होती है वो लड़के को भगाना चाहती है, फिर लड़का होता है वो लड़की को भगाना चाहता है, मतलब वो एक आउट ऑफ द सीन चला जाता है, उनकी स्टोरी मैच नहीं हो पाती बॉलीवुड की, तो वो अलग सीन रहता है.
So it's a very superficial take that's basically taken when you're talking about representation. It's not as deep as any other sort of love story is represented. So then, speaking about taboo, in that sense, Arjun and Juli, there are in fact conversations that are difficult to have when you're an intercultural couple. Things about offending the other person or the other person's community in terms of sensibilities, whatever sentiments, whether it's cultural, religious. So those conversations, when it comes to your daily vlogging, how do you then address them? Do you then bring in comedy to then sort of remove the seriousness that comes in the conversation and then make it easier to talk about? How do you then deal with that?
Well, actually, we both are adults, and we try to talk about every point which we are not clear about it, and we try to find compromises. What I do realize a lot is because of Indian history with British people, there is a little bit of mindset for English people. I'm not English, मैं Germany से हूँ, लेकिन white people are white people, the white people are अंग्रेजी है. So sometimes I feel a little bit of that, but I'm telling him how I feel, and he's very understanding. So we don't really.
And actually, what we do is content creator. So we basically what we show is our life. So in our life we do different stuff. Like we do the household work, every housework we share it. So sometimes people like, they're telling me like, bro, you could have go for Indian girl. She would do it for you.
She would know
like,
how to cook the chai.
How to cook the chai. You will just sit on the chair and you'll get your chai by done. If I want to have a chai, I can make it by myself. So these are some issues like
there are, how to say that?
Yeah.
People think certain things of, white people, of foreigners, which are not 100% true. An Indian wife can make a chai and a foreign wife can also make a chai. Like, it's not that I can care less about my husband than an Indian woman. Woman is woman.
Basically, like, you don't need to. If she wants to drink the chai and then she can make a chai, I can make a chai, anybody can make a chai, anybody can do the household. I can do the dishes.
If you love each other, you will find a way. And
so we share the work.
It's not about nationality, where I'm coming from, where he's coming from. We're all human in the end. Right?
Absolutely. And, there, in fact, when we spoke to another such content creator who makes similar content to yours, we asked the question about, whether you do face some amount of racism that comes into the question, or, cultural appropriation then, something that, people maybe comment or reach out to you saying, in ways that they're trying to express either racism or cultural appropriation, which would possibly be one of the issues that you would face online. So you're saying then you do face such comments, and then do you also have positive reactions that are coming in?
A lot of, like, 99% of them are positive actually. 1% sometimes we face them, so we ignore them. Like like you have to be thick-skinned when you are on like social media. Yeah, like you have to have that. So you have to ignore this, and you cannot take this things in your mind. And
but mostly, I mean, we're happy to inspire the people. There are a lot of people coming towards us and sending us messages like, oh, I also have a foreign girlfriend. How can I convince my parents? And all those things. So it's still like a very, how to say that?
sensitive topic.
Sensitive topic. It's still a sensitive topic, but we are trying to open the eyes towards people because a lot of families are watching our videos. So the families are actually seeing, okay, it does work. It's not something super weird that there's a foreigner and an Indian. It's a couple like everyone else. Like, it's just.
So everything is okay now, but I do remember one thing, like, when we started, like, dating each other, and there was some of my friends, like actual, like real friends, they used to tell me like, ये लड़की तेरा 6 महीना खराब करेगी, 1 साल खराब करेगी. फिर मतलब सबसे पहले स्टार्टिंग हुआ 1 महीने से, 1 महीना खराब करेगी, फिर चली जाएगी वो अपने देश, तो अपने देश, या फिर कुछ भी हो जाएगा. तो फिर 1 महीना हो गया, फिर बोलते 6 महीना खराब करेगी, फिर बोलते अभी हम 3-4 साल से साथ में ही है, कोई हमारा, तो मैं तो पहले से ज्यादा खुश हूँ अभी. तो लोग ये सोचते हैं कि तुम बस वही है कि अलग हो जाओगे जल्दी से जल्दी, फॉरेनर टिकते नहीं है, ये नहीं है, वो नहीं है, फलाना टिपकाना, तो थोड़ा अजीब सा हो जाता है. बाकी 99% positivity है हमारी.
Right. So you're also saying that, there are people who are reaching out to you. So when again comes to the conversation of representation, right, where people are then reaching out to you saying, thanks for representing this sort of a relationship. And then it makes it easier for them to also understand and then see, all right, it's not just us who are facing some issues like this. There are a lot of such couples, and these are common issues that are being faced by any sort of people who are in intercultural relationships. So then how do you then reach out to them, and in your content then do you address those issues?
See,
I think we usually just ignore that. Like, we are showing our life how it is. We don't act anyhow different for the people. We try to
show them that it's working. Like, it's authentic, it's working. So we don't need to explain something that, okay, this is how.
We don't need to go into that, like discussing about this kind of things. So
like,
we just
we want to, like, keep that,
try to keep it positive and go away from negativity. So we are not going into that.
All right. So tell us a little bit about how you met, and then, how your relationship blossomed. And that's sort of a nice story for, I'm sure our viewers will be interested in.
You want to tell it? You have better story.
Actually, Dubai mein mile. I went there for a beach holiday, and he was working there. And he talked to me on the beach. I was swimming. He didn't know how to swim, so he was like, "Hey, how do you do that?" Like, instinctive.
And she was actually floating, not swimming. She was floating in the sea,
like a sea star.
Yeah, sea star. So I was like, "How do you do that? I want to do the same." So like, okay, I will. She was ignoring me, so you continue.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Not ignoring. I was just like, "Isn't it weird? He's talking to me, asking me how to swim, how to do that." I thought everyone knows. And so when we came into a conversation, he was asking me for my number, and
which you didn't give me.
I made it a little bit hard, but in the end, I took his number, and I ended up texting him. And so on, we talked night by night and day by day, sleepless nights, just talking and texting. And being on the phone, and then finally we met, and so on. We fell in love, and I moved to India. And I mean, first I moved to Dubai. We lived there together for 2 years.
2 years.
और ये के बाद हम इंडिया में शिफ्ट करे तो अभी हम इंडिया में रहते हैं और हम बहुत खुश हैं.
Yeah, me too.
That's such a sweet story. Julie, I want to ask you, so before this, we had, a conversation with another content creator who was talking about the difficulties instead of merging two cultures. Julie, have you ever faced difficulty in sort of understanding Arjun's culture? And Arjun, have you faced something similar as well?
See, actually, like, have you ever faced something?
Well, there are things like in India, for example, the traffic is different. The mentality is different. Food is very important here. They are super proud of their food. I mean, there are many, many things which are different as in my country, but I learned to love them. What means I learned to love them? I love them from the beginning, actually, and I'm very good in adjusting, like in adopting the culture. I do wear Indian clothes. I do speak Hindi. I follow all these rituals. I'm very close to his family. We go there regularly and spend time with them. I also do learn cooking Indian food, and I love the food. So yeah, actually, it's not difficult. It's just a question of what you like and so on. I mean, I fell in love with him, and I also fell in love with his culture and so on. I moved here. I live here, so I do live like, how to say that? You behave like a Italian when you live in Rome or something. There's an example.
When you're in Rome, you behave like Roman people or something like that. Yeah,
something like this.
So when you're in India,
I became Indian.
So I was saying that it's a very sweet way of putting it. And, let's end with what you'd like to say to other intercultural couples who are watching our content, who are following you, and, who want to then see representation of relationships similar to this.
One thing I want to say, like, if you're in love, nothing can stop you, and don't listen to to others. You should never listen to the other people, because they'll always try to confuse you, give you different kind of lectures and stuff. So if you're in love, and nothing else matters. One thing you want to ask, okay, do I see myself getting old with this woman? Like, do I see that, okay, I can get old, I can literally spend my whole life, next 50, 60 years with her? Then okay, I will go for it. I will do it, whatever other people say, I don't care. So one thing you should ask to yourself, that's it. Like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, simple, just go follow your heart. Yeah. And it doesn't matter what nationality, where she's coming from, what's her name, how she looks like, that all doesn't matter. When you love each other, you love each other, and that's what matters, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right, on that very beautiful note, thank you so much, Juli and Arjun, for joining us. It was great having you. It was great listening to your journey, how you process, and how you put out your content, and what your whole process behind putting out content is. Thank you so much for joining us. It was great having you.
Thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.